Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to part 2 of 12 record keeping guidelines. Now, if you did not watch the first video, you might want to stop, pause, and go and watch the first video. Because in the first video, what we talked about were the 12 record keeping guidelines. And I gave you an opportunity between the first video and this video to get your stuff together. Go find your stuff. And this video assumes you've done that, you have your stuff, and you are wanting to learn a little bit more about a system that I use to make it really easy to organize all of these financial documents and be able to easily access them in an emergency if you needed to. So again, if you need to stop the video and go and watch the first one, feel free to do that, and you can click back onto this one as soon as you have your things together. But for those of you who are ready to go, we are going to begin. So as a reminder, I mentioned if you have a system and it's working well for you, please don't change it. This is an opportunity for people who have always wanted to be financially organized to have a way to start on that journey. So a little bit of shopping will be involved, or maybe you have these items at home, or if you're a small business owner, maybe you have these items at your office. But we are going to start with a crate, okay? Now, this is what I'm talking about. I purchased mine at Walmart. You can get these online at Amazon or just about anywhere really. But the cool thing is they're already etched out to hold hanging files, all right? And I have found that for me, the hanging files work really well. So we are going to go get a file crate. And as I mentioned, hanging files, if you don't work in a business office, that might be a foreign term to you, but this is a hanging file. And so they come with these little metal, metal hangers in the folder, and it fits very nicely into these grooves that are already here, as you can see, in the crate that I have encouraged you to consider. So you're going to probably need a box of 25 of these hanging folders. And you can go on Amazon. You can spend an hour running around town trying to find all this stuff, or you can go on Amazon and throw it all in your cart and it'll be at your house in a day or two. So whichever works best for you, but you're probably gonna need a box of 25, and they're probably gonna run around $10 to $15, depending upon your store. The crate, by the way, that I mentioned already, you should be able to find that anywhere between $3 and $5. And you may have one in your home already. All right, after we grab some hanging files, we also want to grab a box of manila folders. Now, the manila folders that I like are what's called a third cut. Now, go back just a moment to the hanging folders. These are what's called fifth cut, 1/5 cut. So when you put in the tabs, which we'll talk about here in a moment, when you put in the tabs, you're gonna have 5 that stagger with the 1/5 cut. Now, with the manila folders, these are a third cut. So you've got one that looks like this, you have one that has the label in the middle, and then you have a third one that has the label on the other end that would kind of look more like that. And so you're gonna need a box of these. And again, you're not going to use an entire box, but you're going to go through a few of these, especially if you're older, more mature, and you've accumulated a lot of things. Maybe you have a lot of investment accounts or a lot of property. You're going to need a few of those because we want to separate out each item and label it accordingly so we can go right to it if we need to. Okay, so once we have our crate and our hanging files and our folders, I want to encourage you, if you didn't do this, I did reference it again in the description box below. You will probably want to print out a copy of the 12 record keeping guidelines. This PDF, again, you can access online, and you're going to use that and begin by making tabs for your hanging folders. Okay, I'm going to get some out here that I've already been working on. These come with the cardboard that you can label, write on. You can make a label if you have a label maker. You can make a sticker to go on it. It can be neat or it can be handwritten, whatever works for you, no pressure. But for the sake of our video, I did print out some of the tabs, like this is household. This one says other liabilities. I have another one here that says retirement. So you are going to have 12. You're going to have 12 of these, and they're going to match the categories for the 12 record keeping guidelines. All right, and then you're going to take one of these and slide it in. Again, when you buy the hanging folders, these tabs, clear tabs with the insert that you can customize comes included. All right, so you don't have to buy them extra. All right, so now I've put retirement together here. And although it's not our first one, if you remember, is taxes. But for our video today, so here's my tab, and I am just literally going to, you can see there's slats in your hanging folder. And I'm just going to put one side in and then put the other side in. And so now I have a hanging folder labeled retirement. Okay, so make 12 of these. If you want to pause the video and do it now, perfectly fine. Or you can watch through the whole video and then work on it later. But you are going to make, again, 12 of those tabs. Insert them, and again, let me do one more just to, or actually I have an example here. When you are putting these together, be sure, this is the purpose of having the 1/5 cut, be sure you stagger, all right? I know that seems like a no-brainer, but if you've never worked with files like this before, I just don't want to make too many assumptions because I want this to be a good experience for you. You're already probably stressing out about all this stuff and it's a mess, and it's going to be fine, I promise. So just make sure when you are labeling your 12 hanging folders that you stagger the tabs so that you can see them easily and you can identify it, and again, grab something in an emergency if you needed it. Okay? All right, so now that we have our 12 hanging folders ready to go, you will recall that our first category of taxes, you need to have the prior 7 years and then a folder for the current year. So right off the bat, you're gonna need 8 manila file folders, all right? Now, pay attention. Do not pull the first 8 out of the box and start writing on them or labeling them. Why? Because you're gonna figure out really quick, when they box these folders up, all of the, whichever side you want to look at, all of the right side are all together. And then in the middle, you're going to find the middle ones. And then on the bottom, you're going to find all of the left-sided tabs. So it's going to take a minute, or for some of you really detailed people out there, you might want to unload your entire box, have three piles of files, and you might want to start grabbing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 until you have staggered the entire box of 100. If that works for you, that's great. You'll have it all done, and you will absolutely be certain that when you have multiple manila folders in the hanging folder, you're going to easily identify which folder you need because it will alternate and it won't block the one behind it. Okay, so again, the very first one, you're going to need 8. And so you're going to use, now you can be super neat with your handwriting, or you can go out if you choose. Again, you might have access to these, but I'm a big fan of labels because I'm a little bit of a neat freak. It's not a requirement, it's just my thing. And so these are the, they go with the Avery 8660s. So this is the Office Depot brand because it's a little bit more cost effective than the Avery brands in the store. But this is a clear label. It's called an address label, and it comes with a template, and you can print out your own labels. For example, we have this one here is already formatted and ready to go. And again, in the description box below, if you choose to use labels, we've already provided a formatted template that if you buy the label, you can just print the PDF and everything will line up for you, provided you buy either Avery 8660 or the compatible Office Depot label. They'll line up for you and you can print them on a clear label or a white label and just start sticking away, and you'll have your folders labeled in no time. So again, we will put the links to the PDFs for the label templates down in the description box if you choose to buy the labels and want to do that. But handwriting is perfectly fine. So now that you have, and it's going to take some time. I mean, I'm not expecting you to whiz through this, but I think that it's probably going to take an hour at least for, and maybe longer for others and maybe not so long for some, because again, it depends on where you're at in your journey. If you're younger, you don't have a lot of stuff, right? You might not even have filed 7 tax returns yet. But as we get older, you know, we do have more stuff. And we need to be financially responsible with our stuff. So I want you to be able to have a good system so that you can organize this. And again, worst case scenario, if someone needs to help you with your finances, they can easily get to what they need. Okay, so once you have gone through each category, you set up the hanging file, and then you came right back behind it and you set up your manila folders. I would encourage you, because I like to see progress. I like to be encouraged. And so I would encourage you, once you have your 8 manila folders labeled for your taxes, I would put my stuff inside, right? And I would get my crate and I would take my folders, I would place them inside and I would start filling them up, right? And again, once you start to see the progress, I don't know, maybe I'm the weirdo, but once you start to see the progress and your messy desk or messy dining room table or wherever you're working on this starts to clear up and you're like, oh wow, you know, this feels really good. And you know what? It does. It does feel really good to be financially organized. Now, please don't spend the next hour or two and get your mess completely organized and then forget about it, okay? That's not what this exercise is about. This exercise is to free you, so to speak, from being stressed when it comes to where's your stuff, okay? So once you get this set up, you're going to go to the mailbox every day and you're going to open that mail. Now, I know a few of you are super busy. Probably a lot of you are super busy. And except for the stuff that just jumps out of the mailbox as, you know, a flashing red light and it needs attention right now, more than likely you open your mail on the weekends. And that's really okay, because that gives you an opportunity to open it up and place it in your crate, in your file system, in your new file system. Maybe it's the first of the month and you're going to get all of your quarter end statements from your investments or your bank account or your credit card statement for the month, okay? Just stop what you're doing that moment. Go to your crate, file it. It's that simple. And I promise you, I really want to hear from you guys in the comments. I really want to know if this relieves a little bit of stress or a little bit of tension of just knowing that you got a handle on where your stuff is, right? Okay, now you've got some work to do, and I just want to add one more thing before I close out today, and that is this. Now, the crate is really for you, okay? It's for you and me. It's something that, we'll refer to in our homes and in our daily lives. But you may want to have a second item for whomever is responsible for processing your estate when you pass away. Might be your spouse, and that's fine. But I run into couples all the time where truly one spouse or one of the partners, and one of them only, is responsible for keeping the stuff organized, right? And again, that's fine. That's why we're partners. That's why, we have relationships like that. And so just make sure that if you're married or in a partnership, that your spouse or partner knows where this crate is, okay? That should be a no-brainer, but I'm making no assumptions here. So that would be the first thing. Now, there's some of you that I'm talking to right now who are divorced, single, you've never been married, some of you are widowed. And so for those of you in that situation where there's no one in your home right now that knows about this box or this crate and the items that are in it, I'm going to encourage you, once you have it set up, okay, once you have all your documents tucked in there, I'm going to encourage you to make, not everything, so don't panic here. I'm not asking you to duplicate the entire system, but there are going to be some items in your crate that you're going to want to make a copy of, and then you're going to want to put them in a binder, something like this. Now, this binder here that I'm showing you guys, you get as a free gift if you choose to do business with JondaKnows, meaning that you choose to use our investment money management or investment services. And if so, then after you complete that appointment and open your account, you receive this binder. Now, this it's a pretty thick binder. You might not be able to fill it up right away. That's okay. You may never fill it up, and that's okay too. But we want to make sure you have enough room. And inside, well, right off the bat, I can tell you this one doesn't have it, but we always include right in the front pocket there the 12 record keeping guidelines, just as a reference. But you're going to find 18 tabs. Let me just walk through a few of these tabs for you. Right off the bat, there are going to be some duplicates. So we have tax returns, we have bank statements, we have corporate partnership agreements. You may recall in the first video that I encouraged you to keep business documentation separate from your personal documentation. Not that you might not need a crate for your business, because you probably do, but don't commingle them. That just makes a mess, okay? So in this book, though, in this binder that you are actually preparing for your executor or executrix, your trustee, perhaps, if you have a trust, or if you, again, just pass with a will, you would have an executor or an executrix. And that's what, this book is what they will use to locate all of your stuff, okay? It's not that they can't use the crate, they can, but what if your executor or executrix doesn't live in the same city or state as you do? Just another option for you. But this is a really great resource. There's even a tab in here for funeral arrangements. And again, that's not something we talk about in the crate, but it is something that we encourage you to give consideration to as you get older. It just, again, makes it so much easier on the ones you've left behind if you can plan as much as that as possible. I know some of you can't. I've spoken with you. And I know it's just not something you can do, and that's okay. It's perfectly okay. I know my father, who's been gone nearly 11 years at this point, he and Mom did everything but buy their caskets. They couldn't do that, and that was okay. But when he passed, that's all we had to do was pick out a casket. So it's nice. It's nice on those you leave behind if everything is in order. So you're going to find that in this binder, there will be different information. And this, again, is an opportunity for you to create a book, a resource for your executor or executrix. And you can either give it to them, I wouldn't give it to them early. Why? Because things change. And remember, I said earlier in the last video, this is kind of like a living project. It constantly changes. So I wouldn't give it to them right away, but it might be something that the next time you see them or they're in town, that you sit down with them and show it to them and let them know where they can find it when that time comes. All right, so if you have enjoyed this content, please comment below and let us know. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, because if you want to know what Jonda knows, if you subscribe and you hit the notification bell for all, every time I upload a video, you'll get a notification. Thanks so much, guys. See you in the next video.